It does appear not only is there a sea change going on within American culture, but it looks like corporate American culture and Disney, who has been alienating, regular people and families for years and years and years, that really embraced all this DEI stuff. It looks like they're turning their back on that kind of stuff too now, Aaron.
I have to wonder, it is so ingrained within the current Disney culture that I have to wonder if this is just all smoke and mirrors. I don't trust it. The infection goes deep. They are going to have to cut deep in and root out a lot of these activists and things like that they've hired, people that they've put in charge, because these ideologies are not going to go away with their people. They can get rid of their programs, they can make it look good for their shareholders, but until they actually start slashing the people, and cutting them, either getting them in line and saying, we're not doing this, and you need to toe the line and do your job the way that we now are asking you to do it, or you need to get gone. Those are the only two options for Disney to course correct on this.
For years, Disney proudly touted its Reimagine Tomorrow initiative, which promised that 50% of all regular and recurring characters across the Disney universe would come from underrepresented groups. The program gained notoriety in 2022 when a leaked company-wide Zoom call revealed executives openly pushing an identity-driven agenda. Another executive boasted about removing the words ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls from theme parks to fall in line with gender politics. But now in 2024, Reimagine Tomorrow has quietly disappeared from Disney's official DEI section in its SEC filing. The Disney Look, the company's so-called inclusive appearance policy, has also been scrubbed. So it looks like they're at least moving in that direction, or maybe they're trying to hide it. Who knows? But I imagine these are the kind of programs are the reason that we had 32-year-old dudes acting like they were the fairy godmother at like Disney World, which I think was pretty revolting for everybody. You got your daughter, you want to dress her up as a princess, and the fairy godmother's got a fucking goatee.
Yeah, it's we'll see if that stuff goes away. I mean, standards started to slip when they started allowing visible tattoos and piercings, and Disney used to have a very strict. You used to not even be able to have a mustache if you were a Disney cast member. You're just a guy at the Matterhorn. Let's face it, if you were at the Matterhorn, the actual Matterhorn, you probably got a beard and a mustache, but they didn't allow that. They had like very strict standards of appearance, because when you step into Disney, you're supposed to be stepping into another world. You're not supposed to be stepping into our world. So if you wanted to work at Disney, you had to follow these guidelines. As soon as they did away with that, that was the floodgates. You start getting the slippery slope, and then you end up with guys at the Bippity Boppity Boutique, trying to take your daughter's hand and take them in to help them pick out princess dresses. Yeah, don't like that. Yeah.
Cinderella's with like fucking septum rings and piercings. There's nothing more disgusting than that particular piercing, in my opinion.
That it bugs the hell out of me. Like, I can deal with a septum piercing if it's just like the little ring that hugs the bottom of the nose. It's got to just be like that ring. But the dangling ones, especially, oh god, I have a visceral reaction to those. Like, I want to throw up.
Yeah, go to the livestock market and get auctioned off like the other fucking pigs.
I want to have like a taser and just like touch it to the little tank.
But it is quite interesting that, not only Disney, certainly with Meta, a lot of these companies that were all in on, at least we thought they were all in on DEI and Pride Month and all this stuff. I think Google just removed Pride Month from their fucking Google Calendar and all that stuff. It is weird that as soon as it's not forced on them, there's no money attached to it in the form of the government, that they're all giving up on it essentially simultaneously.
Yeah, I don't know how to tell you guys this who are upset that all this stuff is going away, but they never loved you. They never believed in you. You guys fell in love with the stripper. You thought the stripper liked you, but the stripper never did. The stripper was just there for the money. And so, there may be people within the company. There may even be people at the top that agree with the ideology. But at the end of the day, what they agree with is making money. And if the money's not flowing, if they're not at least getting kickbacks to cover their losses by alienating their customers, they're going to pivot back to profit.
Absolutely. Now that they're allowed to get rid of that stuff, which doesn't make you any money, it only costs your company money in the long haul. Remember the Zoom call that they mentioned there in the article? There was some pretty inflammatory, crazy shit there. Any executive that was leading that charge needs to be removed root and stem, and any of their underlings that they fucking hired.
Yeah, they need to get gone, and you need to bring back people that actually know what they're doing and that actually care about, making good product without agenda. It used to be that Disney would make these things that were, kind of like universal values, the universal values of family and love and friendship and looking out for people. And, those used to be the messages of Disney movies. And then, they started making stuff like Strange New Worlds and just wondering where can we insert, and, like the one executive said on the call, I just wanted to insert queerness wherever I could and nobody stopped me. And it's like, that's your creative vision, is just inserting queerness into every project. I mean, no wonder everything's failing. That shouldn't be the main thrust of what you're doing as a creative person at Disney.
Well, especially not for children's entertainment. It's fucking grooming at that point. It's weird.
And, you and I have always maintained that, within the comic book industry, within entertainment, if there's an audience, you should pursue that audience. But you should know what the size of your audience is and where it's appropriate to court that audience, as opposed to trying to pull that audience in and force everybody else to become part of that audience, because it's just never going to work.
Remember Joe Camel during the 90s? I don't think Joe Camel was costing Camel any money, but because the character was kid friendly and he was a cartoon, they said it's inappropriate for you to promote your cigarettes with Joe Camel because kids might be attracted to it. And it's like we lost that kind of fucking common sense.
Yeah, no, you weren't allowed to have that anymore. It has to be, look, it's really prevalent within like the cartoon sphere. If you say anything about any cartoon, you get all these weird adult cartoon stands coming after you. Like we've seen it with Neon and Geeky Sparkles, with the She-Ra show. We saw it with even like the Masters of the Universe. They reported something that turned out to be factually true, and they didn't even report it. Neon just put out a tweet about it saying like, I'm hearing this about the He-Man show, and if it's true, that won't play well with the Motu fans. And they blew that up and they attacked him and Geeky Sparkles for it and called them liars. And then Kevin Smith came out and called them liars. And it turned out to all be true. Now, granted, there were a couple of course corrections that, after that came out that they kind of like pulled back on, like Andra being Tila's girlfriend. But you can clearly see that it was meant to happen. It was baked in there. She even had Tila even had the mental illness haircut.
At first glance, this might seem like a win for those who have been critical of corporate DEI policies, but a closer look suggests Disney could be just shifting tactics. The initiative's website is still active, and Disney has made no official statement announcing the end of these policies. Stephen Padfield, director of the Free Enterprise Project at the National Center for Public Policy Research, suggests that Disney may not be backtracking at all, stating Disney dropping Reimagine Tomorrow from their DEI section could mean that they're walking back DEI investments, or it could signal that they're hiding them. Either they recognize that more litigation is coming, or it could be part of a viable shift. And there's going to be a lot of that kind of cynicism baked into these kind of things with the way that Disney has basically treated their customers at this point. And that's why I do think Bob Iger, if he really wants to make a show and say this is over, there needs to be firings go along with it. Otherwise, people are going to just think you're kind of fucking hiding it.
I mean, and that's what people are going to assume. And that's what I have to assume. Disney, I've always said that they will be the last company to back off of this. They are the company that is most likely to go down with the ship. And so what they're doing is they're just bailing water right now. They're just trying to like put a new coat of paint on some things and maybe like
hide from the Trump administration.
Exactly. And hide from the lawsuits that are definitely coming, the discrimination suits, the fact that, you did start hiring people based on their skin color, based on their sexuality, based on their ethnicity. You went the opposite direction. It's like you're not supposed to disqualify people for that, but you disqualified people who didn't have that. So you went in the opposite direction with discrimination. And that's going to come home to roost. There's probably going to be some class action lawsuits. There'll be more stuff that comes out and they'll be on the hook for it. So, they're trying to just get out ahead of both the changes that are obviously going on in the country, because the normies have woken up and they're trying to get out ahead of any legal problems.
And I can understand why Bob Iger would do that, because he got absolutely bitch slapped by the state of Florida. He absolutely ran right through him. And he just had this enormous settlement that he had to come to with Trump, which I believe was a defamation suit. And he ended up having to pay out the ass for that as well. I mean, they've already taken quite a bit of money right out of his backside. And I imagine he doesn't want to have to do it anymore. So he might just be hiding this stuff because he's tired of getting sued and losing.
Yeah. I mean, it was Chapek that was in charge during the whole Florida debacle, but it was pressure from Bob Iger behind the scenes and, the machinations that he was engaged in that made Bob acquiesce. And it has cost Disney, I think I saw an estimate that like by the time it is done, it will be almost $1 trillion, over the course of many years. All of the things that they will have to pay for now that they weren't having to pay for in the state of Florida because they were able to kind of manage everything themselves. It will be catastrophic. And I don't hold any illusions that Bob Iger cares about the health of the company. I think that Bob Iger only cares about his own legacy and how he is perceived. And right now, that's what's driving him, because he is going to go down as a colossal failure, as well he should, because his leadership, if I may quote Cobra Commander, pompous, pusillanimous, and pathetic.
Axios is reporting that Disney is significantly downgrading its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and will instead focus on business outcomes. The note sent to employees was obtained by the outlet. The memo confirms that Disney is axing its controversial Reimagine Tomorrow initiative and the corresponding website. So there is apparently a memo that did go out to Disney employees confirming that it's out there, but I think people will still be skeptical.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, there'll be some employees that complain, but I think a lot
they'll
of
just call it something else.
Yeah, they'll rename it. We've already seen that attempt going on in various companies. It's like this is always the tactic, to just simply, let's just change the words, and now it's softer and it,
No, she's not a DEI officer. She's a strategic consultant.
Yes, that's what it is. And that's what they'll do. And so, yeah, I don't have any faith in Disney course correcting until they have a leadership change, until Bob Iger is gone and they bring in a decent CEO, and that decent CEO puts good people in the seats of power. You're not going to see any real change from Disney.
Well, I think we're going to get some examples of this because Ironheart still has to come out. That's probably going to be pretty bad. We got Captain America, Brave New World. There's a lot of weird mixed signals about what that movie ends up being. I think they did try to remove some stuff that was going to be problematic for him. But you still have Wonder Man. There's still plenty of Disney products scheduled to come out in the next 12 months or so that are going to reflect very, very poorly and constantly remind people that this is why you hated Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we went through the Thunderbolts trailer last night on Pop by Culture, and wow, just the blandest, most paint by numbers. Like there were so many cliches in there, and the trailer was so lifeless and gray, and just nothing about it looked exciting. And you've only got one bankable character in there, really, which is Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier, or Bucky.
I don't know, man. White Widow looked pretty good to me. She wears short hair well.
Yeah, I mean, she's a cutie, but I mean, how many people really saw or enjoyed the Black Widow movie? Not as many as. Are they going to go to the theater for that? And I like what's his name. I like David Harbour as Big Dumb Red Guardian. That's kind of fun, but just the humor they had in the trailer, the humor, and I use it in quotes because nothing made me laugh. It was all just the most basic Marvel formula stuff. And it's that's not the stuff that you want to be putting in a trailer right now when you're on the downslide and people are just kind of tired of it.
Well, I think Thunderbolts is supposed to be the good movie. You're supposed to be
it may be.
That one.
It may be. I'm not excited about it, but it has the best chance of being a profitable movie because the budget wasn't, it wasn't reshot 5 times.
Well, Liefeld said it was 4 times.
Well, so I trust Rob's. Rob's got the inside track. It's crazy. So is Rob a birthday party clown now?
He might be a birthday party clown.
Because he's not just he's saying that the 180 million budget is bullshit. He's not just taking the party line.
Absolutely. Now, there is something that we can tangibly take out all this, and I think you'll be excited about it, Aaron. More intriguingly, the company is also retracting all of the trigger warnings that have been previously attached to classic Disney movies. The autoplay content advisory disclaimers, which ran before older titles on Disney Plus, such as Dumbo and Peter Pan, in which warned viewers the film included negative depictions and or mistreatment of peoples or cultures, have been nixed from existence. Now, that's not exactly true. It's actually in the movie description now, but you don't have to see it on the screen just by wanting to watch it. You don't get that stupid fucking snowflake warning.
Yeah, I think that's a move in the right direction. It shouldn't even be in the screen. Trigger warnings are just the dumbest thing that one of the dumbest things that have come out of this whole movement. If you are that fragile, then maybe you're not supposed to be living life. Life is hard. Life is rough. You need to be exposed to things that toughen you up. I'm sorry to say that, but
go watch Blue's Clues.
Go watch. Go enjoy Bluey. It's a good show, but I don't know. It does have positive.
That's total trigger warning, man.
So you might not like
positive portrayal of a father figure. No way, you can't have that shit.
That is triggering.
It's so weird. Not only does it trigger the left, but for some reason, Matt Walsh, like, what the fuck was that? What a weird take.
Matt Walsh is such a thin-skinned little baby grifter. Like,
I don't think he's thin-skinned. I think he's an engagement farmer now.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. But I mean, I think these things do bother him. I think he gets into, I think he holds
in their right mind could have an issue with fucking Bluey. It's a dad. He has enough money that he gets to stay home with his kids and play around with them all day. He's got the dream life.
Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Crazy. I'm a stay-at-home dad. It's the best existence in the history of the world. But I'm so glad my kids aren't going to have to see these stupid trigger warnings. Yes, movies in the 60s are going to portray and have different cultural sentimentalities than movies created in 2020. Welcome to fucking life.
Yeah, I think we all kind of understand that, different times have different sets of values. And, at least some of us do. I mean, some of us don't and try to go back and judge every person in history by, the time that they lived in. And people think that they're so enlightened. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Eddie Murphy used to talk about in one of his stand-ups. He said, man, if I was alive, and he talks about guys saying, if I was alive during the time of slavery, man, I'd have been all out on the street and shit. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. That's that the time that you live in is the time that you live in.
Yeah. It's easy to have modern, a modern view on everything, but you do have to realize these things that you're consuming or you're viewing were created from a different cultural lens. And if you use that, you can learn so much, not only about the world that you're in today, but certainly the world that came before you that can kind of inform how we got here today.
Mm-hmm. And trying to erase history is how you end up repeating it. We see that all the time throughout, throughout the history of the world. It happens over and over again. So, it's better to be reminded of these things. It is better to have those, Confederate statues up so that we remember that this happened. You don't want to whitewash everything away. It's like in 1984, they took away all the history so they could give you a sanitized version of it and brainwash you into thinking that, this is the way that it was. You need to have a clear idea of where you come from so that you can see where you're going. And all these people that think that they're on the right side of history right now, I hate to tell you this, but in 20, 30 years, there's going to be a whole new group of people that think that you guys are the most horrible monsters that have ever lived. That's just the way that it works.
Absolutely. There will be plenty of documentaries going, what the fuck was that? How did that happen?
Exactly right.
And hopefully by the grace of God and a couple of men showing some testicular fortitude and standing up and trying to fix things, in this case, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I don't even know where we'd be.
I just all the corruption that's been exposed. It's mind-boggling, and like we were saying earlier, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure that there's going to be so much stuff that's going to come out, and I just hope that people keep their eyes open. I hope they don't shut it out because you've been robbed, you've been lied to, you've been propagandized. The government is not your friend. I don't know why I have to keep saying that, but there's some people that just seem to love the boot on their neck. This
is just a part of the Geek Fix, and Aaron and I have already kind of talked about a lot of the things that are happening with America and all these revelations of the massive amounts of corruption. If you like all that conversation as well, you do need to go to the Thinking Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. The Sparrow's Never-Ending Christmas Tree tier. And this obviously is the Geek Fix podcast. If you want the entire thing in full, we got another 2 hours of awesome stuff coming your way.